everyone, good evening. Wanted to come on tonight to share one quick tip. Just as I looked and I can see that the camera is a bit quirky, so I'm just going to have a little, hopefully that is okay and you can see me fine. So I want to share with you one really quick tip that's going to help you to just focus on where you are right now. There's loads more detail about this in the online course, but I want to share one thing that you can do right now. So if you're thinking about, I want to make changes in my life, I know I need to do things differently, I can't keep going on like this, whatever the words are that you're using that are telling you that you are not satisfied with where you are right now, whether that is not satisfied with kind of home life, not satisfied with work life, not satisfied with where your business is at, I want to share with you one thing that you can just do tonight, you can just do right now, and it will get you starting to think about where does my focus need to be for making change going forward. So knowing where you're starting from is really, really important. And I don't just mean knowing where you're starting from the fact of, I need to do less hours at work. It's about being really, really specific about what it is and why you need to move away from it and what you need to move towards. So knowing where you're starting from is a really quick way to do a very brief self-assessment on what's going on for you right now, where are you showing up. And I want you to grab a pen and a bit of paper because I'm going to give you some things that I would like you to think about. Now, when you're giving yourself a bit of a self-assessment, it can be really easy to be super critical about all the things you're not doing and all the things that you could do better. And I want to just ask you to be kind to yourself. Yeah, you can take an honest look. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being honest, but don't get into a place of judgment about it. Just get into a place of, this is a sense check. It's just me noticing where I am now and what's going on for me. So if you've got your pen and paper ready, then go for this. If you're also watching this on the replay, feel free to get involved. Leave me some comments, leave me some likes, let me know how you're getting on. Grab your pen and paper and I would like you to just make some notes. So I'm going to ask you to start by putting a few headings down. And first of all, the first heading is sleep. So kind of on a scale of, 1 to 5. Hi, if you're joining me live, it's good to see you. Pop a little hello in so I can see who's there. It's not letting me know who's joining me this evening. On a scale of 1 to 5, just like you to give yourself a rating of sleep. Now, you might say, well, some nights that's great, some nights it's rubbish, it really just depends. I'd like you to just think on a general basis, where is that at? Or right now, in this moment, where is that at for you right now? 1 to 5. So 5 is like top dog, couldn't be better, feeling really good about the sleep patterns I have, the sleep routine, how much sleep I get, the quality of my sleep. 1 is like absolutely, I'm not happy with that right now. And the interesting thing about this is we all have different needs and different preferences. So I could say to you, well, what I need for sleep is I need 8 hours a night. And that if I get that, that's a 5 out of 5 for me. For you, a 5 out of 5 might be 7 hours or might be 9 hours. So there's no right or wrong here. Just go with whether or not you're satisfied with what's happening in your world about sleep right now. Give yourself a little score, 1 to 5. The next heading I'd like you to look at is kind of fuel and nutrition. So that is about what you're eating, what you're drinking essentially, or what you're not eating and what you're not drinking. You could list those separately as well because that might give you some interesting data. Again, just ponder on that and just think about right now in this moment or kind of more generally in life, where do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? And if you're following me live or if you're on the replay, I'd love to know your comments on this one as well. So pop in the comments, whether it's sleep and then what you're giving it on a rating of 1 to 5. Hi Donna, it's great to see you this evening. I'm just talking about the importance of knowing where you're starting from when you're thinking about making any changes in your life, whether it is about getting more sleep, which is just what we were talking about right then, whether it's about making changes in life, in business, in home, whatever it might be. So I'm inviting you to kind of put down a couple of headings that I'm guiding you through and give yourself a bit of a rating on a 1 to 5 scale. So 1 being completely dissatisfied with it and 5 being really satisfied. And the first one we talked about was sleep. So, if you're joining me live or if you're on the replay, have a think about where you'd rate that. Get your pen and paper out or type in the comments, sleep, and then tell me your rating. The next couple that I want you to think about are fuel, so what you're taking in or what you're not taking in terms of food, and hydration, so what you're drinking, how much you're drinking, or what you're not drinking enough of. And start to just give yourself a little list and some ratings. There is no right or wrong here, guys. You are absolutely doing your own thing here, but this is about just your level of satisfaction with it and nobody else's opinion, just yours. So sleep, fuel and hydration. I'd like you to think now about kind of work/business, or if you're doing work and you're doing business, maybe list those separately and just again give those a 1 to 5 rating. So I just had to have a little wiggle on the chair, getting a bit uncomfortable there. So give those a 1 to 5 rating, 1 being dissatisfied, 5 being totally satisfied. And again, just give you a little moment to think about that. And if you're watching this on the replay, you can obviously just hit pause and have a little ponder. I'd like you to think about as well your general perspective. So your outlook on life, perspective, whatever word kind of works for you. When you wake up in the morning, what is your perspective on life? What's your outlook on life? And is that something that is 5 out of 5? Absolutely, that couldn't be better, feeling really good about things. Is it 3? Is it a 1? I'd also like you to think about your boundaries. So what are the boundaries that you put in place for yourself? And again, you could break this down even further if you wanted to. So you could think about general boundaries, work and home, or you could think about technology boundaries. Do you leave your mobile phone downstairs or in another part of the house when you go to bed, or are you kind of logging in early morning, late at night? And if you are logging in early morning and late at night, and that works for you because it's how you do your best work, it's how you show up for your clients because they're, you know, in different parts of the world, whatever it is, that's cool. There is no judgment about what's right or what's wrong. But if actually by the time you get to the end of the day, you've worked really hard for someone else or for yourself, and you're still online at 11 o'clock at night and answering emails and getting up first thing in the morning, is that still working for you? And if it's not, then score it at the lower end. And if it is, score it at the higher end. And as I say, in the online program, we're going to this kind of stuff in a lot more detail actually around, you know, what are those things that are, where are we starting from, and what are the things that we're really satisfied with, and how do we know that we're really satisfied with them, and what are we doing? Because it's really, really important to not just focus on what you need to change, what you need to make better. It's really important to recognise all the good stuff you're doing as well, and actually, you know, the things that you've got in place that work really well for you. And everyone has blips. It's only by really stopping and raising your awareness of it that you can start to say, right, well, now I've raised my awareness of that thing, here's, you know, something that I know I want to focus on. I don't know if you can hear the little click click in the background. It's the dog, he's chasing a fly. Lovely. So yeah, so let me know where you're at with this so far, and let me know where your thinking is at. And I'm also really curious to know, you know, when was the last time that you stopped and you really just took, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to focus on you and actually just think, where am I at right now? You know, what am I satisfied with? So many of us just get into that routine of life. We get on the treadmill and it's like bum, 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 bum. We get into a routine of like, this is how things are, and we don't necessarily stop to think about, even if this is how things are, is this really what I want in my life right now? So I'm just gonna press button here. Oh, thanks, Donna. Good, give me some feedback there. So sleep 4, fuel 2, and hydration 3. Yeah, oh, fantastic, that's good. So developing new business, okay, less satisfied with that. So for those elements that you've scored higher, begin to think about, okay, what am I doing that's a really good practice, a really good ritual that I want to keep in place with that? And then for the areas that are lower, you don't necessarily need to focus on the score that is the lowest, unless that is one of the biggest things that's holding you back. So you might choose instead to pick out one of those scores that's a 3 or a 4 and think, right, what do I need to do then to move that half a mark on, or half a step on, or one whole piece on? Or you might say, well, I really want to focus on the lowest one because that's the one that's stressing me out right now. That's the one that if I just paid some attention to and got my mindset right around it, got my habits right around it, got my goals right around it, that is the one that is going to make the biggest difference in my life right now. And to say, in the online program, we talk a lot more about this. So we go into this in a lot more detail, and I help to really refine that. So this is just really a snapshot of an idea which is called awaken your awareness. And I use this a lot with coaching clients. I use it for myself as well, to just every so often just check in. And I don't always do a whole list. I've got loads more on the list that I can use. Just sharing a concept, a couple of ideas with you tonight. But just to think about, okay, so what are the things that I just want to make a bit better? What are the things that if I just tweaked a little bit would make the difference? And sometimes for me, that is just sleep. If my sleep pattern is not great, just having a big sleep, or making sure that I've refined my ritual, and I say, right, no tech after 8 o'clock. You know, sleep's good at the moment, guys. That's why I'm on tech after 8. But no tech, and maybe just winding myself down, being in bed by 9:30, whatever it is, and just making that decision and thinking about what have I got to do then to help me move that back or get back on track. Because we are never perfect 100% of the time. It's completely unrealistic. It's never going to happen. So please, if you take one thing from this, never put that pressure on yourself. But if you can take those steps and do those things that really help you for the majority of the time, you will find that your outlook changes. You will find that your perspective changes. You will feel more in control of life. You will feel more able to step into and live your best, most happiest life. And that is one of the outcomes of the online course. And it's about helping you to break through those things that are holding you back. It's about helping you to really focus on, where do I need to place that energy and attention? And it's only by getting that snapshot and doing some of those sort of self-assessments, you can really begin to notice, right, what do I want to focus on? Where can I place my attention? And then I will guide you in the online course through all of those things as well. But equally, even if you don't want to join the online course, you can absolutely do this here and now tonight. Hi, Michelle, great to see you. You might have seen on some of the comments, depending on how you're joining in, what we've been up to. So I have been sharing this evening a very quick tip around how you can awaken your awareness, know where you're starting from, and start to really just do a quick self-assessment to help you get focused on, you know, what are the things that are working really well for me in my life right now? What are the things that are not working very well? And what are the things that are definitely not working that I really need to work on? And by giving things a rating, and we've used 1 to 5 rating here this evening, 5 being completely satisfied, 1 being completely dissatisfied, to start to identify where are those areas. So Donna was also sharing earlier some of her feedback as well. And so what I was saying is that when you're looking at these areas, you don't necessarily have to work on the lowest one. It's equally as important to think about the areas that you're doing really well and why that's working well for you, and keep those things in place. But equally, when you look at that list, you might think, what's the biggest thing holding me back right now? What's the biggest thing that's getting in the way? Then actually, when you start to think, right, so what would I want to be different? How could I take that half a step forward or 1 step forward? And then if I was to get to, you know, move from a 2.5 to a 3, what would a 3 look like that's different to a 2.5? What would be that noticeable difference, either in terms of how you feel, actions you're doing? You know, you might imagine how you look and what you'd be actually physically doing, or the outcome. But begin to think, so what would that half a step look like? And if I'm going to move to that half a step, what do I physically need to do to get me there? And that's the tricky bit sometimes, is noticing what the actions are to help you to move from where you are now to where you want to be. And of course, that's where someone like me, a coach, comes in. And in the one-to-one programs that I do, in the online course, there is loads on this, and I work one-to-one with you up front to help you accelerate some of this. So we'll be talking about some of the things that I'm sharing here, but in a bit more depth and bespoke to you, and get you to really focus on what's that one thing that's going to make the difference for you. So Michelle, hopefully this is resonating with you too. And by all means, if you're watching on the replay, scribble down some of those notes about, you know, how is my sleep? How is, you know, how's my food? How's my hydration? What are my boundaries like? You know, and break that down into, like Donna has here, technology boundaries, social media boundaries, client boundaries, personal boundaries. Maybe it's about balance, work and home. Maybe it's about time. Maybe it's about hours. So just really to get you thinking about all those things that you can do. And this is a really, really quick and simple thing. And you can do this just every so often. And keep a little note as well of where you scored things and what you're doing differently, because then you'll be able to really notice your progress. And that is how you'll be able to see whether you're getting results or not. So I would love to hear your comments on what you think of this and whether you think it's a useful exercise to do every so often. I believe it's really useful, and I've used it on countless times with clients and also with groups of people as well to help really get a snapshot of where people are at. And by noticing where you are right now, you can get really clear on thinking, right, so where do I need to focus based on what do I want to achieve, what do I want to be different, what do I want my outcome to be? And then what are the things that I'm doing really well and what do I need to keep doing? Because those things are really important. This is just a really quick thing for you to do. But as I said earlier, don't compare yourselves to others. This is just about you. So this is focusing on you, just about you. Don't compare yourself to what other people expect of you, what other people want to be right in their life. This is about you. So be honest with yourself, but don't be unkind. It's absolutely fine to be honest, and sometimes that feels a bit brutal, but don't judge yourself for where you're at right now. That's just where you're at. It's just coming from a place of acceptance. So if you want to explore this in more depth, then have a little ponder on it, do the video. I'd love to know where you're at. So even if you don't want to pop your feedback into the comments, I love it when you do that because I think it really helps other people to see where different perspectives are. If you don't want to do that, send me a message and let me know how you get on. I would love to know. And if you're interested in taking this a stage further, then we will focus on this as part of that initial coaching session when you join the online program. And we will revisit this during the program along with so much more. So I want to give you a flavour as well as to what's in that. And if you missed my video talking through the online course and why I'm so passionate about it and why it made a massive difference in my life, including this exercise, that was last night. So just dig back into the live videos and make sure you watch that one too. And if you've got any questions about that, then obviously just let me know. I'm just gonna have a quick scroll down the comments. Okay, yeah, lovely. I think it's just my screen was a bit frozen. Yeah, social media boundaries. And Donna, Michelle, and anyone else that's watching, are you able to notice where you think you're making some decisions that are not helpful for you, or where you may be slipping into habits that might serve the need in the moment but actually don't help you longer term? Are you beginning to notice what those things are? And if you are, that's fantastic, because that really helps you to identify what you need to stop, what you need to modify, or what you need to start. Because actually it's not always about stopping doing something, ditching it, having huge changes. Sometimes a little tweak makes a massive difference. So I know in terms of social media boundaries, I worked with a client fairly recently who had really blurry social media boundaries because it was their work. They had to do a lot of it for their work. And they felt that every time they went on their phone, they would check into a client's accounts, check their social media, check ads or whatever campaigns they were doing. And they just got into a habit of doing that every so often when they had a bit of spare time. Before you knew it, that was actually part of their life. So habits can creep in really, really easily. So just begin to notice where you're doing these things and what you want to be different. And I would love to know what it is you're taking from this as well, and what you particularly want to work on this evening. So do shout up, I would love to know. As I say, if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to comment as you go along, ask any questions. I do pop back into all of the Facebook Live videos and answer any questions and come back with you with any further comments. But I'm going to leave it for now, just that one quick tip, which is about knowing where you're starting from, awakening that awareness, doing that self-assessment to know where you are right now, thinking about where you want to get to, what that one step forward would look like, what would be different, and then thinking about, so what do I have to do to get there? And I know it sounds really simple. When you actually do the thinking, allow yourself a bit of time to just journal it out, scribble it down and have a bit of time for you to think about it. Thank you for joining me live this evening. And if you're watching on the replay, enjoy, and I will speak to you really soon.